Welcome to Every Student Every Day. You might remember last year during COVID when we were learning about the different things that we were going to be doing during the school year. We had a very similar show to this. This year, I decided to sit down with Dr. Parrott and kind of talk about the things that will be upcoming next year, what we know, what we don't know, things that are going on in our schools right now, just so everyone can get a grasp of exactly, the status of our schools and our school year next year when it pertains to masks, as well as some of the online options that we have. So let's jump right in with Dr. Parrott here. Thank you so much, Dr. Parrott, for coming with us today and talking about some of these things, some of the things we do know, some of the things we don't know, some of the great things that are going on in Anderson County schools.
Right.
So our first topic here, big topic, coming about a month out right now, is graduation. So let's talk a little bit about where graduation is going to be this year for Clinton and Anderson County High School, as well as CRCS and Innovation Academy. Yeah. So tell us.
So as you know, last year during the pandemic, we had always had our graduations at Thompson-Boling Arena. Mm-hmm. And the University of Tennessee had, because of the COVID and the restrictions, wouldn't allow us to do that. So we had both graduations at their home schools, which at Anderson County, it's on their campus, and at Clinton, it's at the city field. Mm-hmm. And so we had a survey. We did a survey with students and parents and with our board members and teachers and things like that, and they really liked having graduation at the school. Mm-hmm. Even though there's some concerns, with rain and things like that. But so the board voted to continue to have it there. I know there was a little controversy about Clinton High School to start with, because when we first announced it, we were going to have their graduation at Clinton High School on the practice field. Kind of some backstory with that. We've been working with the city, as you know. Clinton High School doesn't own any facilities. We rent those facilities from the city of Clinton, about $115,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And so we've been working with the city, because we really and truly use the baseball field 95 to 100% of the time. Is Anderson Clinton High School is the only person that uses it. With the city football field, we use it probably 80% of the time. They do have a little league league that works there, sure. That does that. But so when we first started with this, probably almost a year ago, trying to get everything lined up, working with the Board of Education, working with County Commission, things like that. And so we really, when we first did our preliminaries, the companies that we were looking at said, hey, here's the timeline we have to put this field in. So when we put the field out to bid, we had no idea if we could do graduation and do the field all in the same year, because there's a lot of work involved. CUB, there's actually a sewer line that runs under the football field, mm-hmm. and all of that has to be worked out and coordinated. So once we put the turf out for bid, we really needed to say, okay, here's where we need to have graduation at, so everybody would know. And so we were looking at Clinton High School. We had ordered stands to put there, chairs, really going to make it nice. And we did have some people that had called and were concerned about that, because we were going to limit it to 6 people. Right. And during that time, it was really hard, because once we put something out for bid, we're really not allowed to go back and say, hey, bidder, we want to change this, because then that process starts all over again. So once the bids were open about 2 weeks ago and the company was selected, the best company was selected, then I got to have a meeting with them and say, hey, here's where we're at now. Is there a way that we can have graduation on Clinton's field and still be able to get our field in by the first ball game? I think the first football game for Clinton Middle School is August 15th, and the Anderson County, I think it's either the 27th. I mean, Clinton, it's the 27th or 28th. Right. So once we did that, then, hey, here we can have it on the field, and I know it made a lot of people happy. And the other good thing about it is at both schools, Anderson County and Clinton, we're not going to limit the number of people that can come.
That's fantastic, because we
So
did last year.
We did last year. You know, I think we had it at 4 last year.
Yeah, it was low.
And so we're still going to ask people to be cautious. If they're sick, you know, please don't come. Try to do social distancing. We're not going to require masks. They're optional. And then we have rain dates. So both graduations are on Friday night. One's on, I think, May
14th and
May
May
14th
21st.
and May 24th and
21st.
21st,
Yeah.
and then it's at 7 o'clock, and then the rain date would be on Saturday night, and then if we had to, we could move it to Sunday. And Sunday we would have to really work and see what time works best for that day. But you know, we do have 4 graduations, so we have CRCS will be graduating on Thursday night. And then the Innovation Academy will graduate that same night, and then we'll move to Clinton. And we kind of, as you know, last year Anderson County was first and Clinton was second. And our board and our community and really our staff, they like to be able to go to both, so you can't have them. That was one of the good things about Thompson-Boling Arena. We could have them all on the same day and everybody could be there. But, you know, a funny thing is in 1979, believe it or not, I did graduate. I graduated from Clinton High School. We had it in the gym, and I think we could bring 4 people, and no air conditioning. So you know, and but I think that trying to, you know, work together and doing what's best. It was kind of funny too, is some of the comments from some concerned parents. You know, I guess it's good when they use your motto against me. So, you know, it was one of those things about every football player every day instead of every graduate every day. But, you know, we try our best to work and do the best we can for 6,000 students. And sometimes there is a conflict there, but we really work hard to try to do that.
If I understand correctly, when I've heard this in board meetings and stuff, this is a huge benefit and a huge lack of expense over time for Anderson County Schools for us to have possession of the Clinton City football field for us. So we will save probably millions of dollars over time taking possession and taking care of this field. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we will save over $100,000 a year just in the rent.
Yes.
And we can really and truly use the football field now that we've going to put turf on it. As you know, our soccer teams have never got to play on the field. They always
play in front of Second
they
Baptist
play
Church.
in front of Second Baptist, and it's a good field, but there's no stands, there's no, you know, and it's different playing on a turf field and things like that. So it'll open it up. It'll open it up to our youth leagues to do some more of those things. It opens it up to 7-on-7 football. It really and truly just makes the use of that facility a whole lot more. Band can come over and practice on the field now. They can, you know, all of those things are an option. And I do, Roger Houck at the city's been instrumental in making that happen. So we thank them for that. But I think you're exactly right. Having control of the fields and being able to say, hey, we want to have a tournament here, we want to do those things, it really makes it a whole lot better for everybody at Clinton High School and Clinton Middle School, and, you know, at some of our feeder schools.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've been to some pretty muddy games there too, so
Yes.
it's exciting about it to see that we're going to have a little bit more controlled surface there. Talking a little bit more about graduation and something that I'm excited about that we missed out on last year. I've been talking to the music teachers as well as band teachers. Those kids are going to get to participate in graduation too, so we're going to have our bands on the field as well as our choirs too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's going to be very nice to see those back in action and feel a little bit more normal this year than we did last year. So
Yes.
coming up very soon, proms for both high schools this year and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that, how that actually came into fruition happening, because I know that was a point of contention last year with folks. We just didn't feel safe, but we've gotten to a point now where we do. So talk a little bit about that and what we've done.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. The proms were canceled last year. So were the 8th grade dances and some of the middle school activities. And we really have been working with Catherine, she's over our nurses, and with the health department and things like that to try to see, okay, how can we do this? How can we do it safe, but how can we really be realistic about some of the things we put in place? So Mr. Snyder, our director of secondary, he's been meeting with the principals and their sponsors for the prom, the 2 high schools, and we made the decision that said, hey, we're going to have prom this year, and we are not going to require masks at the prom. First of all, we could say we'd require masks, but we know that wouldn't happen, and we wanted to make sure that we were kind of transparent up front. Here's the things we wanted to make sure parents understood if they let their children go to the prom, what would be expected of them. So masks, we're still going to say, hey, if they're optional, if you want to wear them, if you don't, we understand that. We're going to ask them to social distance as much as they can. Both of the venues have an outside area where people can gather. The other thing we've worked with is the food's not going to be like a buffet. As you know, a lot of them have just snacks and things like that. So it'll be kind of like a boxed, or we'll have somebody serving that food. So we're excited about that. You're exactly right. I think that our senior class, hopefully last year the senior class, a lot of them got to go as a junior. This class, the senior class, they didn't get to go as a junior, so they'll get to go this year. So you're exactly right. We have one. I think this
Friday night, and then one
this
next
Saturday.
This Saturday, yeah, and then next Friday.
Then the next Friday night, yeah.
Hunter Valley Farm for Clinton, for Anderson County High School, and Mill and Mine for Clinton. So yes, 2 great venues in Knoxville. Going to be really special for those kids, and I'm excited to see it kind of return a little bit to normal, because our COVID counts, student-wise, in our district are very low right now.
It is true. I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but our student to student, our teacher to student, or student to teacher transition of COVID is almost zero.
Right.
And it's been that way throughout the whole year. We've had some of our elementary schools that still haven't had a case in our elementary schools, which is great. And I think that is, when we talked about it last year, everybody was concerned about, hey, we're going to be in a close quarters and things like that. But listen, our teachers, our students, our parents, our staff, I mean, they've just done a phenomenal job. And our nursing, people don't understand how rare it is in a school system to have a nurse in every school.
Right.
And even with COVID, there's still a lot of school systems that have 2 to 3 nurses in their whole school, in their school district. So, we plan on keeping that next year. I'm hoping that our budget will allow us to keep that going forward. And we'll talk about that, some of those things, when we talk about the funds that come from the federal government. But no, we're still doing contact tracing. We had a vaccination clinic that was really excited. Our nursing staff and Catherine and Anna, they really put that together, and we did 800 shots.
That's awesome.
At Anderson County High School both times, and we are looking into to see the feasibility to see if we could have a vaccination for 16 to 18-year-olds for our students.
Okay.
Any of those that want it. We don't know. Right now we think Pfizer is the only one that is approved for 16 to 18-year-olds.
Okay.
And those have to be kept at that really cold temperature.
Right.
So Catherine's working with the health department to see if that might be an option. So, we want to do everything we can to make sure that everybody's safe and they're comfortable.
Yeah. I think the press coverage that we had on the vaccination clinic, we were one of the very first districts in East Tennessee to be able to do that. And for those staff members, the nursing staff, coordinated school health, everybody involved, Anderson County High School, to get all that together there was really something to see. I mean, to give 800 vaccinations and actually do it in such a fashion where they got done early. You don't know how things time out and stuff, but it was really neat to see that process kind of take place for those folks. And even getting that vaccine, having that reassurance of not getting sick, huge for morale for our staff as well. So
it is.
The big thing that I get on Facebook a lot, get out in public a lot, and I'm sure you do too. I've seen you be attacked many times, whether it's at the art trail or probably at Harrison's or something, is, what do we know about next year? And a lot of times, people want to hear from the boss. And the big thing is that we know a little bit. but we don't know a lot because it's a long way out. So tell us what we know right now about next year and what the school year is going to look like. I know I've spoken to some principals about some of the things that they've learned this year and some of the things we've added, like backpack hooks in the hallway, going to be something we keep. The dots in the hallway, the assigned seats, going to keep that. So that may look similar, but tell us about some of the things that might change a little bit. I did that walkthrough in the summer where we saw the shields and stuff. Tell us what we know and what time frame we can expect to see some of those things be answered that we don't know yet.
Right. Well, first of all, I don't make any decisions on my own. We work together as a group and as a team and work in conjunction with the health department and things like that. So what we kind of know right now, as you know, TCAPs start this week.
Right.
They start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when we met with our group this week, we're going to allow students this week while they're testing to be able to pull their masks down, or they can take them off while they're doing the test. And so that's kind of that step to see how that works out. You know, anytime you're under pressure, and our students are, you know, those tests are hard tests and things like that, and they've worked all year to make sure they're ready for them. So we wanted to try to see if we can make them a little more comfortable, relieve a little bit of that stress. So, so that's our first thing. All of our COVID procedures that we have in place right now, we started looking at them, changing them in April. As you know, we did away with temperature checks and tried to monitor that, and we've really been good at that. We've not seen any uptick in students that have came in with a fever or our staff that's come in with a fever. So we believe that is really, you know, moving in the right direction. I think that we're going to talk about mask in the May board meeting. As for me, I would like to see us go away from that, but I want to make sure that we're not hasty in that decision. Mm-hmm. Once you make that decision, you can't come back from it. And I think those are some things we'll look at. I think we'll still have, like you say, we'll still have the shields in place coming back in the fall. Mm-hmm. We'll still do, we're still going to do a staggered start coming in those first 3 days of school. We really, really and truly like that. Parents getting try to come in and their students getting kind of orientated to a new school. Right. We are going to try to work with our kindergarten parents to try to let us have that first week or so and kind of drop their students off and let us take them and try to get them really comfortable with our school. Yeah. We saw that was probably one of the things that last year that coming into a new school, they've never been at school. Some of them's never been at a school. Some of them's been through preschool. But it's always a hard to transition, and we wanted to make them feel comfortable. And they really and truly transitioned great, you know, trying to just go on to the classroom or go on to eat and things like that. So those are some things in elementary school we're really going to look at having.
So the staggered start. Is that,
that staggered start. And you know, we do know that parents, especially in elementary school, have really wanted to come and be part of the school and eat with their children and things like that. So those are some things we're really trying to look at to try to see how we can do that more efficiently. But you know, one of the things that Ryan is amazing is that we've been in school all year.
Yeah.
I mean, our students, when you see all these things on the media and they talk about all this learning loss and they talk about all these students being out of school and things like that, you know, when we started in August, we had about 1,500 students that were online, and we knew we needed to give that option to parents. Yeah. And we're at less than 500 right now. Yeah. And so I think we have proven that we can have school, have it safely. Yeah. We can, like you say, we're not some people first thought we were going to be that breeding ground for the COVID. You know, it was just going to go up. And, you know, our data has shown that when we're in school, cases in the county actually go down. Yeah, when we're out of school, like for the 2 weeks at Christmas or fall break or even spring break, the COVID counts went up.
Yeah, we spiked a little bit because I remember seeing the COVID notifications that I send out go up every single time that happens, and of course that affects contact tracing too in our school, which takes those kids out of school. But transitioning a little bit from that, because you spoke about having those 1,500 students in online at the beginning of the year. Let's talk about what online's going to look like next year. Okay. So first talk about what we already have available, what our plans are. I know that at the Bridge Academy, at Innovation Academy, we have the ACOLA program, and then at Norwood Middle, we have the middle school ACOLA program. So those are some online options there, and talk about what maybe elementary is going to look like online next year.
Right. And still, we're still kind of firm up where that is.
Yeah.
We do know there's going to be an online option next year. We have been in contact with the state, because once you go, kind of like move from a program to a school, then there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So we're still working with that, but you're exactly right. We've had a fantastic ACOLA program and bridge program at Anderson County High School that for 12 years.
Yeah.
And it has probably about 50 students in it. And a lot of those students are what we call hybrid. They come to school part of the day and they may take band, or they may take a CTE class, a career and technical class, or they may take a physics class, and then they take other ones online. And that has worked perfect. We do have some of those students that come every day. As you know, it's pretty neat. We have a big office, and it's set up like an office, and they work independently. We do have certified teachers in there that work independently, and we work on an online program called Odysseyware, and we've really had some great success with that. Our graduation rate in that is probably 99% over 12 years. And so looking at how we can build on that, I can tell you this: we will not, at this point, we're not looking at an online option for K1 and 2.
Okay.
We really, I think we've done a good job of it this year, but we really see that them students, to be successful, need that face-to-face interaction with a teacher. Now, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is kind of still up in the air, but we do understand that if we have that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we will have that teacher. It will look more like it did this year. They will have a Zoom teacher. They won't be, and here's where these things are all up in the air. The state let us do an online school last year because the state was in a state of emergency.
Right.
Going forward, it has to be, if we go down that path, it has to be actually a school with a school number and all of those things. So we're really looking into that. And so they would be connected to that school. They wouldn't be connected like if my home school is Claxton and I'm online, well, I wouldn't be connected to Claxton anymore. I would be connected to that home school. Okay. And we're looking at maybe we're going to house that school. We're going to house that school at one school, you know, and have counseling there. And if all those elementary would go into one central location, so that's one of the things. In the middle school, yes, we'll probably, if we expand on the middle school option, it would be at Norwood, and then the high school is going to stay at Anderson County High School. And like I say, we talk about building something as we're flying it, building a plane as we're flying it. And, you know, last year we talked about we're out of the plane now and we're building a parachute as we're falling down. But I think we've got a lot of knowledge out there. Tricia Jones and Sheila Skeens, they were part of that program that, you know, as you know, Joe Fogarty worked with opening, and they've got a lot of knowledge. And Jeff Harshbarger we kind of threw him into that this year, and he's learned a lot this year. So we've got a lot of good knowledge out there. And you know, what we want to do is we want to give the best option we can for our parents and our students in Anderson County. Yeah. And if that's an online option, that's what we need to do. You know, it's just like, and I know I'll ramble, but it's just like our middle college students. If middle college is what we need, then we've expanded that. If STEM's what we need, we expand that. Our robotics program, and I think all of those things, they just are something we need to do to be a great school system.
Yeah.
So this is kind of just another option. One of the things that has come out of this, and you talk about coming out of COVID and some great things is we have students that sometimes they have an illness or they get sick or something goes on that they can't go to the regular school.
Right.
And we called that homebound. And before we gave them, they got just, they had some paper tests and we had some great teachers that would go out and they would go out and meet with the students and things like that. But this year we've kind of put them under the umbrella of the online school and did Odyssey-ware and really had a teacher involved with them on a daily basis. And we've really saw that even though they weren't in the school, they still felt connected to the school. And I think that's one of the great things we want to be able to do is our online students, we still want them connected to the school. Yeah. We still want them playing sports. We still want them, if they want to be in the band, if they want to. All of those things will be an option. And to us, to me, and again, I'm just one of those people, I get to make the ultimate decision, but I want to make sure that we get input from everybody. And my thing is, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you're at high school and you want to take welding, but you can't come to school all the time and you're taking math, English online, there's no problem with you coming in and taking that welding class.
Right.
So kind of that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the middle of May, we hope to have that really finalized, and then that way parents can start making their plans for that.
Right.
It will be kind of you'll have to do an application. We're looking at probably 25 students to a grade.
Okay.
And that's kind of, we believe we can handle that the first year. And the first year will be, even though we had it this year, next year's totally different. So it's kind of going to be still kind of feeling our way through it.
Yeah, we did a similar thing, I remember, with the middle school of COLA. We started with a number like that, and then we worked out the kinks because it was a little easier to handle kids at a lower number than normal. I think one of the things you talked about, the online students feeling a sense of belonging to a school. One of my favorite things when I go into the schools and see is the teacher has the laptop, and as the students are traveling through the hall, either to see a guest speaker or to see a food bank drive that I remember that went on before Christmas. The laptop's there, and that camera is showing those students that are at home what exactly is going on. So it's good to have that homeschool and know what's going on, even if they can't come in because of a family member or something.
And two, Ryan, we believe that this option might open up some options to parents in our community that have traditionally homeschooled their students, and it may be a way that they can come in and get plugged into the school system. So we're excited about that. We always want to be moving forward.
Yeah. Okay, let's think about 2 weeks ago to the art trail that we had on Market Street in downtown Clinton. Huge success. Got hit by a little weather after lunchtime, but I know I was there. I know you were there too, and saw the droves of people. This kind of came out of the art show that used to be at the Kincaid House.
Right.
But we had a color run in the morning in which we raised quite a bit of money for that, as well as the different art exhibits, even one featuring yourself.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But the 3x3 that some of the art students had worked on in the classes. That was a huge success for our district. And I spoke with some of the art teachers earlier in the week, and they said that they want to maybe see this be a yearly event, and in addition to when we can go back to a little bit less socially distanced environment at the Kincaid House. So the art trail was a huge success, thanks to all those people that were there. So what did you see when you were there at the art show?
I think one of the things that, one of my priorities when I become director of schools was to make sure that we had art in every school, we had music in every school, because that makes a well-rounded student. And I think that over the last 5 years, we've really, our art teachers and our music teachers and people like that, they've just really upped the ante. And I think it is, I think getting out into the community and doing things like we did with the art trail, man, it was just great.
Yeah.
I mean, to see people out and to get the pride on the face of the parents and the students, and really to work in conjunction with Clinton City and Kelly Johnson and them, they do an amazing job over there, and just seeing how much talent we have.
Yeah.
And I'm like the art teachers, you know, I would like to see this be a yearly to get together, you know, the city, the main street in the downtown Clinton, I think it's just going to continue to grow. Yeah. You see those shops opening up, and it's a way to get people to downtown and things like that. So, no, I was very excited about it. Got to have my picture took with some of the cheerleaders from Clinton and some other people around, and it's good to get out and people. You're exactly right. People speak their mind when they're out there.
Yeah, they do.
And I listen and I take it all under advisement. And I think that, you know, anything you can take away from it, you have to take away, and it's a positive. And I think that anytime we can showcase our students, it's a positive.
Yeah, and not just to think it was just an art trail, because there were performances by the Clinton High School Jazz Band. The Clinton High School Choir was there, as well as the Lake City Music Makers. Singing as well. They even got under the gazebo when it started raining, so you couldn't hold Amy Leach's group down at all in that regard. So it was great to see those different arts showcased. Our kids participating with Dream Dance as well. So it was really nice to see that, and I'm excited to see where that event goes in the future, because this was its first year, and I think it's definitely a huge success, and we had made some money from the artwork too. So
well, and two, I get a shout out to Melissa Charles. You know, her and her husband, they're going to donate some racks for us, purchase some racks where we can display more art downtown. And I think that's the thing is, you know. The school has to be part of the community, and it is about, we want, you know, if you look, we want to make sure that our students, when they graduate, they can do anything they want to.
Right.
And sometimes, if you don't have a ball in your hand, or you don't do something that is just out here, you don't get that recognition. And I think this is a way to recognize every student. And when we talk about every student every day, that's part of it. So, you know, we really and truly want to look at ways that we can do those things. And listen, they work like Trojans.
Yeah.
Our art teachers and
They
our
do.
music teachers and people like that, I mean, they work. And, you know, I've kind of put Kelly Myers put him on notice. You know, I'd really like to see some things from our career and technical, because they do a lot of those things, and we could display some things like that. And you know, we did a couple at the art show a couple of years ago. They kind of slacked off this year, but I do understand that, trying to, it was all new, and no, but they've done a great job, and I'm excited about that. And excited about, you know, we do put money into their programs to try to, from the budget, but it's always helpful to have that little extra money that they can do some things special.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so going from the art trail into something that's a little bit more business oriented and money oriented, we hear the word ESSER all the time, and we hear 1.0, 2.0. I believe there's 3.0. Tell us a little bit about ESSER, what it's done for our district, what it's going to enable us to do in the future for our districts, and maybe some of the projects that you have in mind for that ESSER money that's from the federal government.
Right. As you know, yes, ESSER, and you can ask me what it stands for. It's for elementary, secondary. There's an act there, that Recovery Act. I think that's kind of one of the things. But anyway, it was money from the federal government that kind of passed through from the state. And our first ESSER one was right at $1 million.
Okay.
And as you know, when we went to online this year, we had to hire a lot of teachers. We hired nurses. We had cleaning supplies and all of those things. And all of that money and more, almost $1 million extra that we had to take out of our budget this year was used really just to make it through this year.
Right.
And there was nothing special bought out of it. There was nothing that we really could do. Now there was a grant outside of ESSER that allowed us to buy new laptop computers for all of our certified staff, which is a great thing.
Yes.
As you know, we were ready for COVID and didn't know it because we were already one-to-one with our students. Right. But our teachers, they didn't have that. They had a Chromebook, but when you start trying to plan a lesson and use that to send that lesson out, our Chromebooks were a little weak. And so these laptops really helped the teachers do that. Yeah. Yep. And so then ESSER 2.0 come through. So ESSER 2.0 is right at $5.2 million.
Okay.
When you say that fast, it sounds like a lot of money, but when you start thinking about projects and how we did that, so here's kind of the way it was rolled out that we did it. Elementary, K through 5, got $1 million of that money. Middle school got $500,000. High school got $500,000. Technology got $500,000. And then special ed got $500,000. One of the reasons we did more in the elementary school is because we had a lot more students that were online, and we were really concerned about how to catch them up. And if we catch them up in elementary, it makes it a lot better in that. Right. So those are some things. And in that ESSER 2.0, there's some money in there to purchase some more technology for our cameras. We needed to update some cameras in our schools. As you know, we have a camera system in every school.
Right.
But in some of our schools, Dutch Valley, Briceville, and Grand Oaks, those were on an older system, so we wanted to bring them up to the new system, update those things. And then also in that, we wanted to have some software that our students could use to really and truly to remediate and accelerate their learning. So in a nutshell, when you look at it, that $5.2 million goes pretty fast. Yeah. And there were a lot of stipulations with this money. We couldn't do something that's recurring. It had to be tied either to the student, that's technology or safety, or it had to be tied to infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And so there's about Clinton High School, Lake City, and there's one more that we're going to be replacing parts of the roof. Okay. And so what that's allowed us to do is kind of move that our maintenance effort kind of up a year.
Yeah. So taking it off the general fund of the school system. Yes. And being able to use that as well.
Yep. So and a lot of that, when you look at ESSER 2.0, we'll still have a lot of those positions in place next year. So that will allow us, like you say, is to keep everything going. One of the things I'm excited about is in our early grades, K1 and 2. We will be, Katrina Oakley, our director there, they're going to be putting an assistant in most of those classrooms. Okay. So it'll be the teacher and an assistant. Yeah. And that, as you know, that money, we have 3 years to spend it. So when you think about $1 million, that $1 million has to be spread out over 3 years, so it's really not a lot. Yeah. And so, but they've found a way, I think it's either 25 or 26, maybe more than that, assistants that will be in those classrooms. So I think that's going to be a tremendous help to give that more one-on-one with the student. Right. And make sure that, as you know, the state has, if they're not reading or on grade level by third grade, then we've got to do remediation and all of those things. So that, along with all the other things that she's put in place, Katrina's put in place, I think we're going to see a lot of success from that.
Yeah, for sure. So looking at the 3.0 money, I believe. Yep. I've heard in board meetings. I've heard this, and I want you to kind of give a little light to it. Tell us a little bit about what that 3.0 money, what the district, what the board views that as using it for.
Right. So 3.0 is right at $11 million. It has to be used over the next 3 years. Again, there's certain stipulations with that. This one can be used more for infrastructure.
Okay.
And we'll probably, excuse me, there's still some other things that we need to do, like our online school and some of our teachers to do remediation. So there'll still be a component of that. I think 25% of that still has what they classify as a learning loss, but 25% of that has to be used for direct instruction with students.
Right.
Okay, so that will take part of that. The other thing that we've been looking at, our 5-year plan, and our board does a great job with our 5-year and 10-year plan, kind of our maintenance plan and our strategic plan. And in that, we have next year looking at building on to Norris Middle School. As you know, there's a lot of new construction, house construction on that end. Our elementary schools are in great shape. They can handle the influx, we think, of about 150, could be 200 students.
Yeah.
Our middle school at Norris is full. We're right at 500, and if you put another 150 students in that school, you can't do it. So we're looking at adding on 6 classrooms at that school behind. We've got our architects, we've got some preliminary drawings on that. Also looking at changing and maybe having an auditorium at that school.
Okay.
Because that's really the only middle school that doesn't have an auditorium to where you can pull a class in without having to put them in the gym.
Right.
I mean, there's a stage on the gym, but you got to put chairs out and everything like that. So it'd make that a whole lot more usable space. So we're excited about that. Also at Norris, there's not a lot of parking. So in doing that, looking at making a new drop-off for the students in the back and a parking lot and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in the preliminary stages.
Yeah.
And then just to let you know some things too, at Anderson County High School, looking at replacing the gym floor.
Okay.
Didn't realize how much it costs to replace the gym floor there, and looking at really redoing their auditorium. The chairs in their auditorium I think they were put in when the school was built. So those are some kind of updates at that school.
Yeah.
We've got some smaller updates at Norris Middle School down in the lobby. We've got some updates at Clinton Middle School. We're going to be trying to get rid of all the tile and move on to that polished concrete or that epoxy concrete, and doing some of those things. That cuts down on maintenance, and it also looks great.
Yeah, the cleaning I think is a lot easier from what I've heard.
Right. So one of the things I'm probably most excited about is, and again, preliminary, we have to have board approval and everything like that, but in the 5-year plan, there's a plan to build a new elementary school at Claxton.
Okay.
And people may not know, but there's some of that school that's still there. Even though we think it looks pretty good, you just can't update it anymore. A lot of that school was built in the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. And another thing is people may not know, there is 4 different buildings in that school that are not connected. So students have to go outside a lot. They have to go outside to the gym. There are some places that just the way it was built, it can't be ADA accessible.
Right.
And so those are a lot of things. So we're kind of in that preliminary stage. We're excited about that. So we're looking at, just kind of give you some figures, we're looking at maybe using $6 million of the ESSER 3.0 to get that started on a new school. Knox County just started 2 elementary schools. They'll be bigger than ours, but they're about $19 million for a school.
Okay, wow.
And so we're thinking that the add-on at Norris Middle School is probably about 2.5 to 3 million.
Okay.
So when you look at it, probably about 9 million of that $11 million will be used for infrastructure. Been working with the mayor and working with the people that do our bonds and things like that. And we believe that, we don't believe, we know, we can build Claxton, and really and truly we'll add to the debt, but we won't add to the payments. So
Okay.
we don't have to raise taxes to build that new school. We don't have to cut programs to build that school. We have our budget is sound and is in great shape. To be able to put that is just part of the regular way we do things and part of our plan. And so we're excited about that. Been working with Ms. Coleman and talking about some designs. We will be working with TVA to see about trying to incorporate some STEM avenue into that school. As you also know, that road, the Claxton community, that Edgemore Road, the state is looking at making that wider and making it a 5-lane.
Oh, wow.
And so we're working with them to make sure that we can have some crossings there and things like that. So it's an exciting time, and I think Claxton is on the verge of really expanding and growing. We see a lot of new parents moving into that area. So that is one of our schools that needs to just needs a total redo.
Right.
And so we're hoping that maybe some of those newer buildings we can keep. We'll definitely keep the gym, but I think the new school will have a gym too, and kind of maybe use that gym for more of our community access. So those are some things. Norwood Elementary School, we're going to do some front entrance and design work down there. So we got a lot of exciting things and a lot of fast things over the next 4 years, because that money has to be spent by then, or we give it back.
Yeah. So our last topic of today, probably the most exciting for our teachers, is that the board voted to give a 2% raise, and the state, with how they focus their money and how our district works, also added 2% to that as well. So teachers by July 1 will have gotten a 4% total raise from what they were making a year ago. Go into kind of how that's broken down with the Anderson County portion of the 2% and how the state portion of the 2% kind of fits into the budget, and how the board and yourself and Julie made that work.
Okay, so you're exactly right. The board, the governor and the legislators in special session in early January, they gave 2% bump in what they call the salary code.
Okay.
And so if you think about that, is we employ a lot of teachers outside of what the minimum is the state. I think we're about we have 620 teachers, and probably over 100 of those are fully paid for by the county through sales tax and property tax, which no system in the state has a minimum teacher.
Of course.
You really can't run it. You can't have art or music or any kind of things like that. So when the board looked at it, and we really look at, okay, how can we make it consistent? How can we do some things that will help in the long run? So the board and Scott Gillum Waters is the chairman of the budget committee, looked at that and with recommendations from me and from Julie, gave a 2% pay raise, and we retroactive that back to January. So starting in January, every staff member, the state just put it on teachers, but we give it to everybody. The board, to my knowledge, has never given a raise to teachers that they didn't give it to everybody else. And it takes everybody in the county to run the school system. Everybody's just as important. So and that commitment to the board, I'm glad they do that. So that 2% raise going forward, we had enough money in our fund balance that what money that was sent from the state, we could add to that, and we can make that raise happen. That raise really it ends June 30th, okay, for that money. So then in our budget process, what we wanted to do was make it possible that we could take, like you say, that per 2%, add 2% on it. So when the staff starts the 1st of August, they will have a total 4% raise more than what they had last August.
Yeah, that's great.
So, those are some things, during this school year we update, we the board actually put more money into retirement, not into retirement, into insurance for our family. If you have family insurance, they're paying more of that. And so we're looking at trying to even extend that more next year. So those are a lot of good things. But the one thing we don't want to do, and I'm very cautious of this, is we don't want to be able to, it'd be great to give 10% raise if we could, but then in the next thing, instead of having 20 students in the classroom, now you have 30 because we've had to cut positions. So we don't want to do that. So we want to be real strategic how we move through this year.
Yeah.
And there may be, if things work out good, hopefully revenues are up, we can do something at Christmas or do something next year, to get our, and I think we're still, we still got to do some stuff for our classified. We still got to work on some of those salary scales, and but overall, I told our staff at the first of the year, I said, here's what I'm going to say is this year's going to be a different year, and I said different can be good or bad. It's all of what you make out of it, and I really believe it's been a different year. It's been a year like I would have never dreamed it.
Right.
But overall, when you look, I think it's been a good year.
It has.
We have really had to focus on some things, that we weren't priorities, and it wasn't because they just weren't at the forefront. But it's like a nurse in every school. As you know, there's a lot of safety concerns out there right now. We've got an SRO on every campus. Sheriff Barker, really and truly, and his staff. They work with us, and they are great people. Wendy and that whole crew works together, and McBroom and all of them. They really work. They do a fantastic job. And having our through an ESG project, we have scans at every door. We have the Raptor background checks that when people come in and things like that. So those safety things. Another thing, hopefully people have saw is we've started doing a lot of wrapping in our windows.
Yes.
To where that you can't see in, so if somebody pulls up, they don't know if students are behind. But what's pretty neat is that in nighttime, because the lights are on in the school, if an officer drives by, he can see into school. So those are some great things that we're excited about.
Yeah, Norwood, I saw Norwood's and Grand Oaks, the two most recent, and they look fantastic.
Yes.
So we got a lot of great things that are going on. Thank you so much, Dr. Parrott, for sitting down.
Thank you for letting me come in.
Oh, no, happy to have you for sure. Yeah. One of the things that as we move forward, in the comment section of this video on Facebook or on Twitter, feel free to ask some questions. I can get to those questions for you. If I don't know the answer, I'll ask Dr. Parrott myself. And hopefully this will be a program that we can bring you often with Dr. Parrott, with other directors, with principals, talking about the different things that they have going on in their schools to kind of highlight those things. Because a lot of the times in our schools, we do, like Dr. Parrott said, we do have the locks on the doors and we have all the security and protection. It's hard to get in, but what we want to do is we want to tell you the story of actually what's going on there. So join us in the future right here for Every Student Every Day, and thank you for your time.